Are you ready to discover who you came here to be? Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. Human Design is a system and a tool that is here to empower you and show you your greatest potential. Come learn with us and discover who you really are. Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. This is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hi, friends. How are you? My name is Krystle, and I am a 1-3 sacral generator, rising Capricorn, Sagittarius sun, and an Aries moon.
And I'm Leah. I'm a 2-4 splenic projector, Aquarius sun, Taurus moon, and Libra rising.
Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. As you've noticed by the title of this episode, this is called the program recap. And this is where we take you through a journey. It's a bi-weekly episode that we talk about 2 weeks of the month through the transits. And we travel through human design, astrology, and tarot with the transits and give you the main points. That's what the program recap is. The main points of what you need to know to be successful for your week. Okay. So before we dive in, I was thinking about, as an undefined root, I fucking hate having something to do every day. I need to have some breaks in my week.
Yeah.
Where I don't have a list of things. And every week the week before I say to myself, oh, you don't have that much stuff going on next week. And take it easy. And then I get to Monday and I'm like, holy shit, I have something booked every single fucking day. And some days all day long. And this week I've literally had something every single fucking day. And then I have spiritual fusions this weekend, which is an expo in Asheville, North Carolina. So if you're in Asheville, North Carolina, you should definitely check out Spiritual Fusions because it is an event. It's a 2-day event, actually. And it's a bunch of weirdos that get together, to be honest. A bunch of spiritual weirdos that get together that you have booths. It's like all of the environments come together for this particular expo, and you get to see all of the environments, which I think is pretty cool. There's a bunch of booths, so little markets everywhere. Everybody has their little market. You can sell stuff. My friend Nina, that maybe you guys have heard of, she's also been on this podcast before. She creates really beautiful jewelry. And a lot of it with crystals. So there's people that are selling their jewelry, selling crystals. Last time I bought somebody's she does all these herbal tinctures and stuff. And I bought one of her sprays because of course I had that horrible dry cough.
Yeah.
You guys remember about me on here where I kept coughing? I did spiritual fusions that weekend. So that was fun. And so, yeah, so they sell a whole bunch of stuff and then they also have readers. So I, was asked to be a reader again for this weekend. So I'll be doing, human design speed readings, which I actually think is pretty fun. Cause I the first one I did, I ended up doing 52 readings, which was insane. And I told myself, I want to do it again. I want to exceed the 52 because there was I think 2 hours or something in that weekend where I didn't have anybody. Which people are like, oh, good, you got to rest. No, I don't. I don't want a break. And I tell that to Aitha. I say, I don't need a break. I'll eat a quick granola bar in the corner for 5 minutes. That's all I really need. And then I'll get right back to it. I do not need need a break. My bowels turn off when I do stuff like this. I used to do weddings, and sometimes we would go all day. The large parties, 12 bridesmaids, which is insane. Who the fuck has 12 bridesmaids? Okay. I think that's insane. But anyways, and so I don't know what happens to me as a generator, and I'm just a powerhouse that I'm everything turns off. I'm not hungry. I'm maybe a little thirsty. So all I need is just a little thing of water.
Hmm.
And I don't have to go to the bathroom. Like I don't like it all turns off. And even like my partner that I used to do weddings with, she'd be like, if you need a bathroom break or you need something to eat, nothing. I say nothing. I don't need anything. And plus also I am an undefined root that you don't want to give me any more time.
Yeah, you want to get it done.
I want to get it done, but you don't want to give me breaks because then I won't be able to pick back up that momentum. Like, I need to
Yeah.
just stay straight and steady going
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah. I talk for like a half an hour, like on these, and my throat's done. I'm like, no,
Oh,
I'm done
really?
talking for the day.
Oh my God. I
Like
wonder how
Tuesday, I
much.
had all these appointments and I was talking and I was on the phone with people and talking until like I I felt so tired. My whole entire body, my throat felt like it was so sore just because I had been talking all day. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like forced. And then like the next day it was kind of raspy. And I'm like, that's weird because I mean, I don't know.
It's so interesting. Yeah, the between the open throat and the defined throat, so
Mm-hmm.
different. Like so, but also it's like with me though, you just never know what you're gonna get because sometimes I'm quiet as a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if you guys heard that timer. I am quiet as a mouse and you won't get one word out of me. And it's
Yeah.
like I'm almost like not in the room. And then there's other times where I'm the loudest motherfucker in the room and you need to tell me to shut the fuck up. And like I can go, obviously, as you guys have seen on here, rants. Which people tell me they like my rants. So but then I want to do them more. So, so yeah, there's a lot going on this week. And actually, there's a lot going on in the stars and planets above for the next 2 weeks. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to have to reduce some of my conversations on here in the future when stuff like this happens because it's a lot. But I feel like we should just go ahead and dive in right now
Yeah.
because there's a lot to say and I want you guys to be able to hear it. So let's do it. Hi there. We wanted to share with you more ways to connect with us and our free and paid resources and offers that will help you elevate your life and begin to tap into your fullest potential to live out your dreams. First up, we have created a free tips and tricks to understanding your strategy and authority and a free crash course on the transits that you can find in our beginner's path on our website in the show notes down below. And if you're ready to get a deeper understanding of the human design language and how to apply this to your very own chart, check out our user manual to your true self. And if you've been studying human design for a while and ready to lift up the hood of your vehicle and take a peek inside to better understand your process, we have created a mini variables class on the 4 radical transformations. Now, we do not have view or motivation available to purchase, but we have recently developed a kick-ass variable intensive called the Color Code Variable Intensive. That is a 5-week journey through the radical 4 transformations. And because our last round went so well that I can't even put into words, I can't even describe, but we are doing it again this fall. So please make sure you are subscribed to our email list because early bird enrollment is about to be made available. And lastly, if you are interested in one-on-ones with me, Krystle, then check out my readings on our website down below to snag one of my reading spots or email us the word waitlist to be added to the next available openings as I get booked up very quickly. And everything else that you might be interested in, you can find on our website, humandesignastro.com. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for some prime education. Now let's go listen to the rest of this captivating episode. So we start the week on August 21st. That's what this particular program recap is going to be about. August 21st. Can't believe we're already at the end of August. So this is going to be a connection through our sacral with this focus for this particular program and the art of saying yes. This is a focus about commitment. What do you feel committed to do? And what don't you feel committed to do? And what will help you support and ground you in this is going to be the process of your emotions. And so this is a continuation, just so you guys know, of the end of last week's program. It has trickled into this one. So if you listen to what I said for last week's program, or you want to go listen back and hear what I said about that, because sometimes I say things a little differently, then as you guys know, I have an open throat. So who knows what the hell I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it. So if you want to hear what I said about that over there, go ahead and listen to that episode after this. But if you remember what I said about that, it's about a feeling. That's what is grounding us, is a feeling. Is that feeling you get when you want to commit. We all know it. It's like all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what type you are, right? Because this actually comes from the sacral. It turns into, for all of us, when we get to hold on to this particular frequency, a full body yes, right? When people that have this particular gate or full channel, when it's a yes for them, it's like their entire body moves towards it. And now when it's a no for you and you don't want to commit, it's like a retraction and a resistance. And a lot of times for myself, I notice as a generator, because this is actually a generated gate, I tend to lean back. I tend to not want to be involved. So this is just something to pay attention to as you go through the first few days of the week that we still have this program. So what information are you feeling? And what's it providing for you? Follow that towards the beginning of the week. And then we have some new retrogrades. I'm just like, for the love of the stars and above, we have some new retrogrades joining the party this week, guys. And this is one of our usual suspects because, he does go retrograde quite a few times throughout the year. So this one's going to be Mercury. Okay. So on the 23rd, Mercury will begin its backwards motion, which is with its natural ruler of Virgo. Okay. So I do feel like this one's going to be particularly important to pay attention to because it's in its natural ruled sign. And so we're going to be feeling, I feel like we're going to be feeling this one a little bit more intensely, especially because there's a bunch of other things happening at the same time with this one. So get ready for confusion. We've already been in it though, right, guys, with the shadows. So get ready for confusion. And some fun. So again, as we all know Mercury retrograde, though. We've all heard this before, right? Check all of your work, triple check, quadruple check. I keep telling this to Leah right now. I'm like, we have to, like, we think we got it all. I'm like, you read it again. Like, you read it again. Okay. So triple check your work and do yourself a favor if you can. For us, not so much because our business is online, but if you can unplug from technology, at least give yourself some breaks, maybe some social media breaks as well. I usually see when Mercury retrograde happens, a lot of engagement kind of dwindles. Also when things are retrograde in general. So I think engagement might go down a little bit more with Mercury being retrograde. Do not throw your computer at the wall. Okay. You will want to. I'm saying this for myself, more so for you guys. You'll want to throw your computer at the wall or your phone, but don't. Okay. It'll come back online eventually. Okay. Hold out. So we'll discuss more about that and what gate this will start in. It's backwards motion over on the program breakdown on our email list for our email list friends. So we also have Virgo season starting on this day as well. So very interesting. We have Mercury going retrograde in Virgo, and then we also have Virgo season starting on this day. So you might get hung up on some extra criticism. You might be extra critical. Other people might be critical of you, and the deep desire to throw out your entire house as well, because that's the only way you can be organized, because that's what I do. So I kid. Anyways, we also begin a new program on the 23rd. So there's a lot happening on the 23rd. Okay, guys, mark your calendars for the 23rd. And this is going to be a focus on our bonds for this one. Who do you feel the desire to connect with? Who are you most loving and care, and who are your most loving and caring people? And you might be in review about your relationships with this program. What's going to ground you are your emotions again. So this is going to be an emotional week, actually a emotional couple of weeks. This can be I got to tell you, be prepared, because we will be operating from some standpoint as an emotional for the next couple of weeks. All of us, whether you're emotional or non-emotional, you're going to be, stuck in some sort of emotional wave a little bit, or on a high. If you're on a high, good for you. I never get on highs when I go into an emotional transit. Very rare. Um, but what grounds us might be the be spirit, okay? And evoking our spirit and almost pushing us to harness our power to create fulfillment. There's going to be a little bit of a pressure. There's going to be a lot of pressure to feel for this week. And then on Saturday, August 26th, we're going to move into actually a new null story, because the gates are going to change in the nodes. We move into a new access. I will tell you what it is on here, and then we'll dive in the program breakdown. It's going to be the 4232 is going to be the new storyline. So we're going to finally break free from the channel of mutation. Thank the heavens and above, because it's had me, and probably you too, that's watching or listening to this, in some sort of holding pattern. And so we're going to break through from that, and we're going to reach a stage of moving towards climbing the next mountain, or actually starting a new mountain. A new cycle is going to begin, and we're going to be leaving behind almost like old ways that we've tried to climb that mountain. And we'll dive more into that again in the program breakdown. So make sure you subscribe to our email list, and you can do that in the show notes down below. Okay, so where else are we going? So for this week, which feels like a month, a month's worth of stuff, of transits, let's move to actually let's move to the Monday the 28th. Okay, Monday the 28th, which I will just repeat that's Monday's program is the one that we were just talking about, so I won't repeat the same program. So it's a continuation from last week that I just spoke about on our emotions. So we will have that program mixing with another retrograde just for funsies. Yes, it does seem like everything is retrograde right now. And I want to remind you that we do get a lot of retros in the summer. Okay. It's not a coincidence that people tend to pull back during the summer. There's no school in the summer, right? Usually, unless you have a year round school, because it's an invitation to slow down. So, who else is joining the party? Well, we got trickster Uranus going backwards. So Uranus likes to shake things up, and you never know which direction it will go in. And with it being in Taurus, this can be a rewind on a reflection of our resources. Okay. More on also finances, which we've also been experiencing with Venus retrograde too, right? So there might be a little bit of stuckness with this. Also, go look and see where all of these planets are transiting your chart. Okay. If you want to be specific, because maybe you have some openings that we don't have, who knows? And, Taurus is ruled by Venus, right? And it's also an earth sign. So it's deeply connected to the material plane. And as we have Mercury, that's a weird word, a new word. Virgo in Mercury. We're gonna call it Mercury. We have Mercury going backwards. I'm sorry.
That's
Okay,
a fun little open throat thing that just happened. You got
yeah.
to
It's just a new word now. It's just, and maybe that should be the title, Mercury. Okay. All right. I have to contain myself so we can move on here. So, what is going to stir and wake you up at this time? with Uranus, and how can you refocus also your innovative process? Because that's one of the positive traits of Uranus, is it really pushes us to kind of go in a new direction and create some more new ways of doing things. So that might come up for you during this process as well. And so Tuesday, we get a new focus on our heart and our will. You might feel like you need a little space with this program and another emotional transit. So have fun. Okay. Actually, the two emotional transits that we're traveling in for these 2 weeks, I actually have half of these gates. So if you do have a hanging gate, and let's say you're not an emotional like me, and you then connect to the other side through a transit, you get to really emphasize and experience that emotional frequency. And if you don't have that channel at all, you're still going to be experiencing it, sometimes even more so. But I feel like I understand, and it's almost like there's this part of me with having a hanging gate that's connected to emotional transit. All of a sudden, this wave inside of me gets turned on. And that's something that we also discuss in our emotional support guide. So if you didn't know, we have our user manual to your true self. We've just updated it with a lot of new pages, a lot of new content, a lot of new graphics and visuals for you guys to understand the language and key terms of human design. And then I also created a bonus guide called Emotional Support, where we kind of talk about the different elements of what it means to be an emotional and a non-emotional. And I did mention on when you do enter into emotional transits as an emotional in this guide. So feel free to pick up the user manual and you get the bonus guide for free. You can go down to the show notes down below and pick that up. So not only are we, working with our will and we're in an emotional transit, the emotions are going to be what's actually grounding us. And it's a grounding on emotions and friendship. Okay. And this is all going to be about lending a hand to those in need. And sometimes we don't want to do that. Sometimes we have resistance with doing that. Sometimes it's not the right person. And so there's going to be a lot coming up with this week in regards to relationships, which we are in kind of a relationship focused period, with the nodes have just changed signs into a relationship axis, as I like to say. And then we also have Venus retrograde as well, which is impacting our relationships to self and to others. So there's a lot happening, and there's probably going to be an emphasis on that this week with all of that, with this particular program. And then on Wednesday, the 30th, we have a full moon. Okay. So this is going to be a full moon in Pisces. And Pisces is a mutable water sign. And the question I always like to ask is, where were you 6 months ago during the new moon? What were you trying to call in? What were your dreams? Because that is what this sign is connected to. And also, you might feel a little bit more spiritual when this sign comes in a big way. It's the wisest sign in the zodiac. So how have you grown in the last 6 months? And this one will be in relation to, as we were just talking about, relationships and friendship, and focused as it's as this is going to be connected to this particular program of this week. And you might feel the need to retreat, as I said, a little bit more. And you might, maybe particularly on this day, this might be a good time to take some space on this day and to regroup and ground yourself in your obligations. Okay. A question to ask for this full moon might be, how can I be an active member in my community and family? How can I be an active member in my community and family? What ways for the last 6 months have you been supporting people? And what do you want to kind of materialize during this full moon? And so we actually enter into September on Friday, which is, I'm still having a hard time comprehending that we're already in September, basically. And we'll get a new program late on Sunday night. So since I said so much right now, I'm going to leave that particular program for the next week. And I'll give you a sneak peek for that one over in our program breakdown. If you would like to receive it, if you would like to receive the program breakdown, please make sure you are subscribed to our email. With all the activations, gates, and channels, we'll be giving you those in the program breakdown. You'll need to know about them for the next 2 weeks. So you'll definitely want to pick that up. So subscribe to our email in the show notes down below. And I know I've said a lot. I feel like people are going to have to like probably listen to this like 20 times. And as Leah suggested for the last program recap, a really great way to utilize the transits and how we're providing them for you is to pull up the program breakdown and then turn on the podcast or watch us on YouTube. Hi, hello, how are you? And follow along. And that way it like sinks in. It really sinks in when you're reading it and listening to it. You can't help but understand it in some capacity. So give it a try.
Yeah, and like grab a calendar, your calendar book, and like write it in there, or grab your chart and pull it up online or whatever. Like look at the transits, highlight. Yeah, like just do all the things. Pretend you're in class, because that's
this is like a class.
Yeah,
in a way.
I mean, and truly, it helps you understand, especially when you give the details in the breakdown. It helps you understand and visualize what all the gates and channels mean, and so you get you grasp more of that information when you're doing like listening, watching, reading, because it covers all the bases of things.
Understanding the gates and channels, the easiest way to do that is, to be quite honest, following the transits. Absolutely. It's one thing that I started doing when I first started my human design journey. And then I realized one time I was listening to one of Ra's lectures, the founder of human design, and he said that that's how he learned.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, so I was doing it right. I was doing it right.
That's how you taught me. I was like, I don't know what the heck is going on. You're like, well, start writing it down, start following the transits, and here I am. So helpful. Okay, so let's dive into the cards. So I'm forgetting the date, the 21st, week of the 21st. Yes. I pulled the 10 of Cups. And 10 of Cups is all about completion. So number 10 is the end of the numerology. And 1, so if you add 1 and 0, it's 1. So it's sort of like the completion and the starting of a new phase. It also represents bonds with family. So I feel like it's sort of like leading up to this, like you said, at the very end of the 2 weeks is like, how are you playing a role in your family's dynamic or whatever.
Well, also this first week, we do have the gate of bonds in transit.
Okay. There we go. So it's a lot of like connections with people, social connections, family connections, connections with yourself, celebrating. This could be a time where you're celebrating something that you've completed, whether it's a project, a work project. It could be, something that you've been working on for a while, and you can see that you've come to a phase where now you can step into like the next section of that. And overcoming any sort of like disagreements with people, or, completing that sort of phase in your life where, now you're at a place where you feel good about where you're at with others. And so you can kind of move forward. You might find that, your family feels like it's thriving. You could feel like, things are really good at home. There's, a lot of ways that you can look at your life, and where can you be making like a gratitude list and a mental gratitude list. It could just be you're really grateful for the life that you've created. It could just be as simple as that. So then for the Oracle card, I pulled, and I like this because it says guilt, and that's my motivation. And it says, I release any beliefs that no longer exist in my soul's growth. The energy of fear has many guises to complicate your path to loving yourself. Guilt is the most devious because it is a wolf in sheep's clothing. It is a self-imposed emotion that pretends to be intrusive and enlightening. So guilt can help us grow when we realize that our actions have been hurtful to others and what we need to make amends. After we do so, though, it's time to learn from the behavior and move on. The problem arises when we hold on to a guilty feeling that serves no purpose other than promoting self-destructiveness and low self-esteem. No one is perfect, Everyone makes mistakes, and guilt is not always rational, but if you examine it subjectively, act on it, and release it, it becomes a temporary emotion. Long-held guilty feelings are never good and will create a roadblock to self-love and happiness. You must continually scan your current emotions for any guilty feelings and bring them to the surface for analysis. Healthy guilt is a warning that action should be taken, and irrational guilt needs to be released. So take that how you must. And for the week of the 28th, I pulled the Fool. So I feel like these are two really good cards that kind of go together. Like you're completing a phase and now you're about to like leap into a new one. The Fool is about new beginnings. He is very free spirited. He kind of takes like these leaps into new projects and thinks, I'm just going to go for this. There's two really important things to remember. The first is to not allow others to kind of make your glasses foggy and to not see what is not true for you, to follow your own inner intuition, your own inner authority, your own inner guidance. And the second is to make sure that the things that you're jumping into or the goals that you're creating are actually tangible for you and for your life. Like it could be, I want $1 billion. That's great. But is that a tangible thing? Or how can you go to like, I don't know, just making that next couple piece of money, whatever that is.
Is that a conditioned reason to do it? I think is also another question. I think there's so many thoughts that we have that we're like, oh, I have to go do that. And it's really just a not self theme that's presenting itself. Or it's like, do you have an undefined heart? And you're trying to prove yourself. These are questions to ask yourself to really understand. And I think the Fool really represents like, if you were to pick a card for the next notes that are shifting, I would pick the Fool because it's all about starting a new cycle and kind of leaving behind a lot of the old ways that are no longer serving you, no longer working, and how you're trying to progress in life. The Fool wants to really like take it on, right? And so I think if I were to pick a card for the next notes to give a nice visual, it would be that card.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. Cool. I don't have anything else to say about that. I think that's fine. I think that's good. Okay, so then I pulled Worry for the Oracle card. And it says, I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. Worry is a wasted emotion. It does nothing other than give you the illusion of control. When you expend too much energy worrying about things, it limits you and has an adverse effect on the natural energy of the soul. Worrying destroys the hope, faith, and excitement, that wonderful elements of this schoolroom called Earth. Remember that you are what you think, and you have the power to create positive thoughts, which beget positive outcomes. Worry is a negative emotion and sets you up for a negative result. And you can ask yourself, what unnecessary worries are you carrying around with you right now? And then examine them objectively in the light of love. Help your soul by releasing the worries and be fully connected to the current moment, which is where power resides. And I think that's a super powerful thing. I find myself in worry 98% of my life. For some reason, I just constantly am worrying about the future or worrying about the past. Like, what did I do? What did I say? And then in the future is like, well, what if, this thing happens? And I'm always worrying about things that aren't even true. And so I get stuck in like this worry hole, and then it just keeps like wrapping me up and I forget to be in this present
survival
moment. Oh, it's 100% transferred survival. Yeah.
It's really
we talk about this all the time too. You're like, you're worrying about things that haven't even happened. And I'm like, you're right. I am.
That's one thing that actually helped me with having a completely open head, which, the worries can be endless and like debilitating a lot of times if you get trapped in the open head. And so one of the like mantras that I've started saying years and years ago was, it hasn't happened yet, so we don't need to worry. Don't worry until you have to worry, is what I said. If there is a reason to worry, then worry. Because it's like, as also with having an open solar plexus, I do not have control over emotions. They just hit me like a bag of dicks, just like right in the face. And that's how we're ending the podcast.
Go read Krystle's posts on Threads. That's where
Yeah.
that comes from.
Yeah.
It's good.
I say it a lot actually, but I feel like I feel like I want it to just be like a regular catchphrase for me. Just hit me like a bag of dicks. All right. We're
A lot
gonna
of laughs today.
well, yeah, there's lots of laughs. We hope we made you guys giggle. Give us a big thumbs up on YouTube if you're on, if you found this episode, comical, practical, all of the above, Also, I'm pretty sure, unless something happens, early bird enrollment has just opened for the variable intensive.
Yes.
Okay. On Tuesday, the 22nd,
Mm-hmm.
doors should be open. We are in the past, guys. So go down to the show notes and click our website to double check. Or if you're on our email list, you already got an email from us. The variable intensive is all about the radical 4 transformations. And we basically, each week we're going through a different variable, which the variables are determination, environment, view, and motivation. As we throw in on here that we talk about our particular variables, we have already done this with another group of people a few months ago. And it was, I have to say, the best thing we've ever put out, ever.
Amazing. Ever.
Hands down. I'm not even exaggerating. Every single person, and we had 11 people join us for the first variable intensive. Every single person up-leveled their life in some way and found self-acceptance in who they are. We had people get into relationships, a partner finally after I don't know how many years. We had people be open to finally getting into relationships and taking risks about relationships. We had people change careers. We had people up-level their careers. We had people make more money from being themselves. I mean, the list goes fucking on. So if you want to learn about the variable intensive, if you're unsure if you want to be it, go ahead and click the show notes down below. Leah should have dropped a link for you to learn about the variable intensive. And I will say that we did have everybody book up in less than a week for the first variable intensive. So if this is something that you're interested in, I would not hesitate too much unless you're unsure. Write it out because we don't actually start until October. But we are hoping to get this closed out so that we can get people already a head start, because you actually also get a free class called the Fractal Family Framework, which is a video that is actually going to give you a breakdown to be successful in a whole bunch of different ways in business and relationships.
Mind-blowing.
So
Amazing.
yeah. And then you also, if you sign up right now, you will get $55 off for the intensive. So go ahead and check out what the variable intensive is in the show notes down below. If you have any questions for us on it, feel free to DM us or email us. We are more than happy to see if it's a good fit for you. We don't want people that aren't, we really want people that are committed to growth. Every single person that joined us for the last one was 150% committed. And they almost all of them showed up for all of the classes. And everybody participated. We also have a community page for this. Everybody participated. We also have experiments. I actually have a new experiment I want to throw at you guys for this one.
Nice.
So yeah. So this is going to be really fun. Everybody's a mad scientist, and we're going to be creating in our lab together. So go ahead and check that out in the show notes down below. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, leave us a review, give us a big thumbs up on YouTube, give us a comment if you have something to share, and we will see you over on the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of our podcast on the Human Design and Astro Club. We hope you have found the information insightful and useful. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a review and sharing it with your friends and family. We love to hear from our listeners, so feel free to reach out to us with any feedback, questions, or suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.